Thank you again for being here with us. It's a real pleasure. And why don't you start telling me a little bit about your career, about your background, and all your expertise in this digitalization application at our industry.
Yes, so my career started in this sector many years ago because when I was at university, at the end of my universitarian career, I chose a thesis on the equipment rental industry. It was in the middle of the 90s. So at that time, especially here in Italy, the industry was really just starting. There weren't specialized companies in that sector. So my study started from countries like the US or France, because, however, it was expected that the rental would have been a channel more and more important in let's say the distribution of the equipment. And so I let's say started working with the Italian Association of Distributors at that time, Assodimi, that was let's say pushing the distributors to also rent the machine instead of selling. So we have in Italy this particular story. And then my, let's say, passion at that time for internet and for what was new at that time. I mean, the possibility to connect with other people or companies that today is given for granted. It's something that it's not so long. I mean, it's 25, 30 years ago was not existing. So mixing these two elements, let's say I created my company that is in 2000 at the time. And we have always been working in the digital sector, providing software solution to a broad, let's say, number of companies, but with always a specialization in the rental industry. So providing full rental management systems, transactional websites for booking machines, mobile applications, and so on. So yeah, that's briefly my story, but I don't want to be too long, otherwise it's boring.
It's a whole life, and at that time, at the 90s, you were really a pioneer.
Yeah.
Now that you have experience in the US and in Italy and in Spain and all the rest of Europe, how do you see Spain in that scoreboard? I mean, what's our state of digitalization in Spain in our sector, if you compare it to another European countries, for example?
First, Spain, in terms of rental penetration, is one, anyhow, of the advanced countries in Europe. Spain has always a very dynamic economics, big growth however, in the last 20, 25 years, compared, for example, to other countries like Italy. And I see the adoption of the digitalization. I mean, at the European level, there is no big difference, to be very honest, from one country to another. You can find very digitalized companies in any country, or you can find also very analogic companies, even in countries that we think, for example, mostly in the north of Europe, are more advanced. No? So this is something that I would say that in general, what we see in general, and in Spain too, is the growing adoption of some core telematic, some core technology like telematics, of course, because it's pushed by the OEMs. And these, of course, enable many services, like, of course, location, predictive maintenance, more efficient fleet management that is fundamental for rental company, owning, of course, a lot of machine. Then other key elements that I see growing in Spain and also in other countries is the let's say, adoption of integrated systems, ERP, CRMs, especially dedicated to this industry to centralize operation, and also specialized mobile apps that can be for example, for technicians to manage work orders or inspections, or for check-in and check-outs. There are also companies that in Spain or in other European country are starting to use artificial intelligence. That is not just a fad, it's a very important technology that let's say the common usage is quite new, even though it comes from many years ago. And for example, tools for customer support in terms of chatbots, even internally, So the customer asks for something, and I can ask the chatbot what machine I can propose for a given solution, or for example, for dynamic pricing. This is where AI comes, because it has the possibility to process tons of data. And so we have companies that are already also in Spain experimenting this type of new technologies.
Wow, you've said a lot of things, a lot of very interesting things. I mean, for example, something that has always amazed me, or something that has surprised me in the past years, when some companies from northern countries come here and explain how they operate in the UK or in the Netherlands, and I see companies that where people is less present in the process, where everything is digitalized, and when you can check in or check out, even in little branches where there is almost no people there. I don't know how much that is really happening in Europe, but here in Spain is something that I think is still far away. Do you see that kind of business models operating in Europe with respect to Spain, or what do you think about that?
I think that it depends on the positioning and on the business model. There is no, general rules. Technology can make that possible. But then imagine that you are, in a, for example, complex job site with several machines operating and so on, where you can have different problematics almost every day that you have to manage, because there is something that unplanned happened and so on. So in this case, I see very difficult that someone just with, I don't know, talking with a chatbot can ask for a machine and the machine arrives. That's something that is not possible. Then, if I am a private person and I need a machine for my small garden, I can use a mobile app to book this small lawn mower, for example. Okay, and I go and take it, and maybe I don't see anybody because the machine is inside a locker. I open the locker with a code, I take the machine, and then I bring it back. That's possible. There are already experiments, and also some rental companies are bigger rental companies are experimenting those models. But the position is more, B2C, or is more for simple tasks where I can book and make everything by myself. I would like to make an example with the hotel industry. If I search for one night and I arrive at the hotel late, and I will leave in the morning very early, and I want just to sleep, I'm fine if I book my room, I get my digital key in my phone, as it is possible today, and I open my room with my phone. There are already hotels that are doing like this. I have experienced some, probably also you have experienced that. But if I want to have a more complete experience and I want to stay there for a few days and have a better service, it's not that way that it works. I need a human touch. I need suggestion. I need someone. I need a service. I need to talk with someone. I need someone when I want to explain my need and so on. So it's just a matter of position. Technology can enable these business models, but I don't think that 100% of the business models in the equipment rental will work like that. Especially in sales, especially in when you have to find a real solution, those technologies can help to find a solution, but at the end, the human is always at the center, and I don't think that this is you can replace it.
Because I've always thought that if these kind of models go further, we can be really afraid about Amazon, for example. So that's a menace.
We have to say that. I think that one of the strengths of Amazon, for example, is the customer service. And if you have any problem with Amazon, you can phone, or you can ask that they call you, for example, because there is a product that is not working as expected, or there is a problem. And the operator on the other side is a human. And normally the experience is that he knows everything about you, about your what you have bought with them, the product that you are using, and the problems. Here is when technology comes, because they have a full history of you, they have full details of the product that is have been acquired, and they have specialized people that knows that product, so that my call first is in Italian, so will be automatically diverted to an Italian speaking expert, for example, and second is for that product, so it's forwarded to a person that knows that product, that knows how that product works and can help me. So here again, the technology is behind, and it's working to route to make the right routing to my request. That's another important point. Let's imagine the same thing can happen in the equipment rental industry for a technician. So let's imagine that I have a problem, I open a work order, and the system allocates that work order to the right people because he's the expert of that machine and because he's free at that moment. So he can proceed and go and work on the machine and complete the work order. That's just an example of how technology can help also on the background.
Before, you also were talking previously about artificial intelligence, and it's something that is on top of mind of all of us today. Lots of millions are being poured in that sector, and it's changing the way we interact or try to be every day more and more efficient. And in what specific terms you think that will impact the rental sector? And you already mentioned a couple of application or use cases that could be interesting, but what do you think that could be the most interesting cases of use or best practices or things that could really improve our operations using artificial intelligence?
So I think that artificial intelligence, I mean, at the end, is like us humans, and it's interesting that it can replace two very different things that we as humans do. First, repetitive tasks and things. So when there is a rule, artificial, and there is a process to be that is clear, artificial intelligence is a big help. Because, for example, in document recognition, in ALIAS, we have developed a tool that is based on artificial intelligence. It's just to make an example. I don't want to make advertising. That is, for example, is recognizing a certificate of conformity, can recognize the difference from a certificate of conformity, from an insurance, and from a checklist for the same machine. And is capable, like a human, to say, oh, this is the certificate of insurance for this machine, this is the certificate of conformity for this machine, and this is the checklist for this machine, and the manual for this machine. Okay. So this is, for example, something that that is replacing some manual and tedious work that at the rental company someone is doing daily. For example, because I receive all the insurances from my insurance company, I have to print them and put in the machine. Okay, I upload a file of 1,000 insurances, and the system recognizes and already associating my fleet management the documents to the right machines in few seconds. So this is a very, I would say, low level of intelligence, because you don't need to be a genius but to do so. But it's a task that is anyhow it's linked in our mind to intelligence anyhow, because I need to recognize a document, to categorize and to associate. I need to read it, basically.
No, and it's very interesting because it really can help in dedicating people to what really matters, and diminish
Exactly.
the administrative load that people can bear. And
exactly, like accounting. In accounting, artificial intelligence is very helpful, because there are specific rules and you can follow that rules. And when you have rules, artificial intelligence can make the recordings for you instead of doing manual. No, it's just another example of a field of application.
I always thought that it's also very important that these tools, external tools, because all of us, we have ERPs, and it always does that. It is very important that these tools can be automatically or correctly connected to the ERPs. Do you also solve that point with your tool?
Yes, I mean that's yes. That's another point, very important point. Thanks for raising this topic, because what is fundamental is that the system can interoperate, and today that's possible through the technology that is called normally API. Okay, that is application program interface. It means as acronym. And this is sometimes also a barrier for the new technology to enter in the company, because maybe if I have a system that is not conceived, is not designed with those possible integration with API, because maybe it's a bit old, then it's difficult to plug the new technology, and that's a barrier for the innovation. So that's an important point, and that's why sometimes there are resistance in the adoption of new technology, because maybe they cannot integrate. For example, the example that I was doing with that software artificial intelligence that is called Pico, that is recognizing different documents. Of course, it can work alone, but if it's linked to the fleet that is in the ERP or in the rental management system, then it's another world. I mean, because everything it's connected. So if I use that and for example, the system find a document, you can find it also in the other system in 1 second. So
it's very important, because our fleet is something live. We continuously buy new machines, sell old machines, and if those are not interconnected, somehow we have to work twice.
That's very important, and in the evaluation of the system, interoperability is a key, and so that's it's very important to have always this possibility. Finding the right solution, digital solution that does everything, is quite difficult. So that's why, especially today, more and more, you can have an ecosystem in your company where you have maybe the main system that can be the ERP and so on, and then several specialized apps or software connected to it, so that you build really an ecosystem. So that's another important point, and this is thanks to this APIs mechanism that is wires that is linking the different element of the digital ecosystem.
Good. You've put us this example of the digitalization of the documents and the documental administration. What other application of AI do you think that could be interesting or have a deep impact with our companies in this sector, in this industry?
So, as I was saying, there are two ways that you can use artificial intelligence, at least. This is, I would say, the document recognition, for example. It's a simple task, no? But artificial intelligence can also work with very hard task for us as humans, like, for example, data analysis. Data analysis and imagine prices. You in your company, you have tons of data regarding price, because every rental companies every day creates contracts, creates specific price for specific customer in any moment. The artificial intelligence can also analyze a lot of data, what was called big data a few years ago, let's say. Now analyze very quickly those data in seeing trends, understanding the behavior of the pricing during the year, for example, so the seasonality and so on. And thanks to this analysis, is capable to suggest a price, for example, for a contract for a specific customer, because maybe you did the same price in the 2 months ago for the same machine and so on. And this is something that it's another way to use artificial intelligence, because it's like that if you have in this case an expert of pricing close to you that knows everything about the data regarding price, the trends and so on, and can really suggest the price. Then there is maybe a human evaluation on this price, but based on data, that's the price maybe that can win the contract. You know? So that's another way. Another example.
In your experience, I know you have implemented this system. Very interesting. You once came to ASEAMAC and told us more about it. This revenue management system, right? In your experience, did the company get a rise in prices because of the use of that tool?
Yeah.
How much could be that?
Yes. That's exactly the consequence, because thanks to the rules that you can give also to the advisor, you can also basically inform the artificial intelligence, the calculation algorithm that is behind that. There are, for example, type of machine where you are stronger than the competition because they don't have it, for example, or where, to make an example, that there is a price limit that you cannot go below this price, because you can give also the costs to the algorithm, in order that he knows the cost, and knowing the cost will never go below the cost unless you want. I mean, he never suggests something that is, for example, below the cost. The consequence is that in general, the companies that are adopting those systems are increasing prices, not of big percentages, but 2-3% more, let's say, than without using the system. Of course, considering inflation and so on. So that's the use case that I have. Because you can monitor everything, you know.
Yeah, we have tried to do something similar in our group of companies, and one of the main resistances that we've found are salespeople.
Yeah,
who think that perhaps they know more than the machine, or that the prices that are suggested, or they are afraid of losing the sale. How did you deal with that? Because I understand that we usually tend to think that digitalization is about technology, but it's also very importantly about people. And how do you manage that?
What to say is fundamental. Technology is about people because people is using technology. So if people is, let's say, rejecting the technology, then the technology is useless. In my experience, I have seen organizations where the same technology had a great result, and in another company, where the same technology had also, not to say a bad result, but not the same result. And that, at the end, is how you make the adoption. So the adoption is a fundamental process because it's a change management process. It's nothing to do with the technology. So there is no one, let's say, good answer to this, but for sure there are some factors that can help the adoption. First thing, to be very honest and transparent, organization where, in general, I'm talking in general, when you have young people, for example, in that position, they are much more open to it because they are used to use such tools every day. And on the other hand, they reject the analogic tools. So if you propose a digital tool to help someone that is 25 years old, they normally it accepts because it's exactly what he wants. So I'm talking in general. Then of course you can have. Another point is to let's say the way you deploy the solution. So just deploying a solution, imposing a solution, saying that it's the best solution that we have, doesn't work. It must be accepted through a process that is first. We need to find why we have maybe some problem with the pricing, for example, how we can improve, and make the staff, the people, part of the decision.
Yeah.
That's really important because otherwise they just have I don't know how to say the right word in English, but they just have this decision on their shoulders, but they don't know anything about it.
They don't feel they are part of it, and they don't adopt it as easily, right?
Exactly.
In fact,
Exactly.
it's like managing any change.
Exactly.
It's the
Exactly.
same. It's the same.
It's exactly this way. One thing that is, let's say, due to the technology, is a mix of technology and people, is how easy to use is the solution. So if normally, of course, the solution is self-explanatory, let's say easy to use, then the adoption is better. For example, for the pricing, we have seen that the people is used to get to have the phone, and is used to prepare the quotation on the rental management system. We have seen with an experiment that while creating the quotation for the customer and choosing the price, they like to have a notification on the phone via WhatsApp saying that you are preparing this contract. I recommend to do this price because for this and that reason. Like a friend that is writing to you why you should use this price and so on. That's something that, for example, can help the adoption instead of seeing a price imposed in the system in front of you. Okay. So this is just an example of that you need to be also creative to make the adoption easier, and yes, using the channels that the people today likes to use.
I guess that you are more used to use WhatsApp in your day-to-day, and it feels more familiar, and also you feel that you have more the choice.
Exactly, you have the choice. You have the choice. You control, and you have a suggestion in form, like a human that is explaining to you why, for example, this price could be good. because
good. You told us about the documentation, also this data analysis and revenue management. Any other application you think that could be with a huge potential in our industry?
yes, new application for sure. Data damage detection. Damage detection is something that is very linked to our industry, the rental industry. We know that damages are very important, are a source of sometimes problems with the customers, are a cost, and so on. So
you mean
here,
physical damage, for example, like a machine that has had
yes, they had an accident, also small damages and so on. And here, for example, we have already just if you send two pictures of the same machine to Gemini or to ChatGPT, they are capable to understand even small differences. Between you make a picture, I don't know, of an excavator and the same excavator at the return. If you just give to ChatGPT or Gemini, they say if there is some difference, if there is something that could be broken, and so on. So imagine that with the smart glasses, you give smart glasses to people, that is the check-in, check-out at the warehouse, and the smart glasses can help in this case to find some problems that can be in the machine. And maybe there are also scanners in terms of temperatures and so on, so you can visualize really if there is a problem. That's not fantasy. That's true. It's for example,
really spectacular, because physical damages are perhaps more obvious, but if you put the glasses into the equation and you can see more internal damages or some internal problems, that could be amazing.
Yes, and imagine that there are technologies that are coming mostly from the military industry at the moment, so are still quite expensive. But anyhow, they really using drones, small drones, you can go around the machine and even enter inside and see small details, and then the drone comes back and give a full report of the machine in terms of images, videos, and thermal scanning. So
and you can turn it on, and also the noise of the engine, or many things that with a multimodal system can be taken into account. That could be.
These are technologies that are already existing, are very expensive at the moment, but we can expect that in a near future there will be more and more available. So in this important process of the rental, they will come in place for sure when the price of those technologies will drop down.
And how do you think that, because artificial intelligence is developing really fast, the robotics industry has been there for more or less long time, but do you think that this can really boost the robotics and make it much more cheaper and much more affordable for most of us?
Yes, I have seen clearly existing applications of this. For example, already are working in the logistics sector with robots like dogs that are going and move in the different part of the warehouse, moving spare parts, for example, recognizing the different types of items, taking them and bringing them to another place, and so on. They are similar to dogs, and they are called dogs. And in very big companies and warehouse, they are already widely adopted. So it's something that I think that there will be, and there is already a big change and a big evolution also in this case. And so when even in the rental industry, it's possible to, let's say, in some processes, this robotics can help, no? Like the check-in, check-out, for example, again. So this is something that today it's quite difficult to predict, but in other fields, these are already existing and working. So I think that in the next maybe 5-7 years, we will see some already application, some real application of this in the rental industry as well.
Good. We in ASEAMAC, most of the associates of the association are little to medium companies, and perhaps most of the projects we've been talking about could sound or like they are for more big companies. In what sense do you think that is real or a myth that we little companies think that technology is expensive or is not affordable? And also, what kind of projects or first big steps would you recommend to a little company to begin with?
So you are right. We are talking about these technologies, but these technologies, they also require sometimes very big costs. And so in general, in Spain, like in other countries, the vast majority, as you said, of the companies are small and medium. And so that's a barrier, of course, for the innovation. But I would suggest to start with what is possible, and what is possible today in order to create a culture of innovation, not just because innovation is good, but when innovation is basically reducing costs and increasing the service for my customer. And today, for example, just technologies that are available for everybody in the companies. I make an example. Already, for example, Microsoft or Google are offering artificial intelligence inside their systems. So if you have Office, or if you have using the Google Docs or Gmail and so on in your company as an enterprise, this is a technology that is not so expensive, but you can really boost your daily work. For example, just because writing an email, you take less time because they can answer for you, they can understand the concept, you can speed up. Creating a table in Excel, and then instead of applying formulas and so on, you can just type and say, or talk and say, in this column, make this calculation. I mean, they can seem stupid things, but at the end, you can save a lot of time, and they give to the company a new culture to use the systems in another way. So we are not, let's say, thanks to artificial intelligence, we are not, let's say, our approach is not technology based, but it's the technology that is more human. They understand better our brain, basically. So I will start from the basics. No, instead, I imagine that a small and medium-sized company first adopt those systems at the lowest level. Lowest level, I mean, using artificial intelligence for these daily tasks that I was mentioning. Then, when this is in place, you can start adding other pieces. In the coming years, the costs for those applications that we were mentioning before will be lower for sure, and will be available. And you need to adopt them at the right moment. If you adopt them too in advance, you spend a lot of money and you don't have a return. So we have always to think about the return of the investment, even in this case. So doing it, let's say, step by step, starting from the base, and then evolve.
There are also a couple of issues that could worry us, and especially in little companies that do not have any dedicated person or budget specific to these things, that are data confidentiality, data, and also cybersecurity. No? We've heard many times about cases of ransomware or things like that that are really frightening, and perhaps most of us are more or less hidden in the long tail because we are little, no? But they are real menaces every day, more and more. How do you think that the little companies could
First, understanding the problem. That's a very important point, because if we go through more and more towards digitalization, then, as you said, all the data are in those systems, personal data, crucial data for the business, and we rely on them for the our business daily. So they are vital. If, for example, you are using completely a system that is cloud-based, and you don't have, I make an example, internet connection, then you don't work. If you are using a system and then it's not reachable anyhow because maybe it's down because there is an attack, you don't work. So first, I think that the companies, especially the small and medium-sized company, needs to have a culture where they should understand that skills like cybersecurity experts and in general expert of also data security and so on are really needed in the company. You can go through consultant, yes, but it's crucial because without those systems, you don't work. So it's important that in terms of culture, also the management understand how important it is to have this talent, this skill inside the company. Today is not perceived as it is important. It's really, really, really important. This helps also the company to have to be more aware of the risks and of the best practice to avoid big problems like phishing, ransomware, those kind of problems that are happening unfortunately every day, and that sometimes can be a blocker for the company. So this type of skill, this type of person can, I would say, give to the organization, even if small or medium, the right culture to treat the data, to work in a secure way. So it's really like the physical work. We talk about in the rental industry, it's 20 years that we talk about safety. How much important is safety in the job site? Safe machines, safe processes to avoid injuries, to avoid accidents, and so on. It's the same with technology, exactly the same. So if we have a safety expert and we follow the safety rules in our company to avoid that our machine is misused and that is by the customer and is used correctly and everything is safe and nobody hurts or there are accidents, the same is for the technology today. Exactly the same. So that's why we need to have this kind of professional inside the company. That's my recommendation, my absolute recommendation. Also, certifications there are also specific certifications that are very important, and they are not just for technology company, like the ISO 27001. That is a certification that helps the company to understand exactly what I'm saying. How important is to have security stored data and secure processes, and to have continuous improvement in this sense, and having a culture of security in terms of data and technology inside the company. That's very important.
Great, Gianluca. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. It's been really interesting. It's a world that evolves so fast. Any final thoughts? Any last thoughts to summarize what you think you should take away from this?
I think that maybe we could use the artificial intelligence to make a recap of everything we did. Because, for example, another thing that I strongly suggest is to use artificial intelligence to make recaps. Huh? So today, normally it's possible to have with, I don't know, Microsoft Teams or Meet or Zoom, the transcript of the video, and then say, okay, and now give me also the recap. So that in 5 minutes I can read everything that is important. So, okay, so yes, no, my suggestion is this.
With the example.
So it's a real application.
Yeah. Good. Thank you very much, Gianluca. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a good day.